shut down today amid a tense standoff over federal funding. House Minority Leader, Democratic Congressman Hakeem Jeffries is standing by with the Democrats' position and to respond to House Speaker Mike Johnson, who said this moments ago.
We're in day 3 of the shutdown because 44 Senate Democrats have decided to reject the very simple, very clean, very conventional continuing resolution that we passed in the House to keep the government open. There's a lot of negotiations going on here between the parties about appropriations, about how to spend federal dollars, and that is the regular process. But we ran out of time because we came to September 30th, the end of the fiscal year. We just needed to buy about 7 weeks on the calendar to finish the process. This happens all the time. It happened 13 times during the Biden administration, and Republicans never voted to shut the government down. But now the Democrats have flipped the script, and they've decided to close it, and real people are being harmed. We've got to bring this to an end.
Okay, Leader Jeffries joins us now. Mike Johnson, the Speaker, says real people are being harmed. This has to come to an end. Your response, also anything new? Any possibilities a deal could be reached today and the government reopens?
Well, good morning. We're in day 3 of the Trump Republican shutdown because Republicans don't want to provide health care to working class Americans. We know that real people are being hurt, and that unfortunately has been the case since the beginning of the Trump administration on January 20th. It was Speaker Johnson, Republicans in the House and the Senate, along with Donald Trump and the administration, who passed this one big ugly bill that set in motion the health care crisis that the American people are dealing with right now. Largest cut to Medicaid in American history. They ripped food from the mouths of hungry children, seniors, and veterans, and all of that was done so that they could provide massive tax breaks to their billionaire donors. Now, they don't want to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits for everyday Americans, and that's shameful.
Okay, so in a perfect world, this would be about the continuing resolution, about a debate about policy, a debate about health care. There wouldn't be disinformation and lies about this is about migrants getting health care that the Democrats want. And there wouldn't be Project 2025 aspirations. But I don't think Democrats can look at this shutdown in a vacuum. The threat of mass firings is as real as the threat of retribution and the threat of ICE raids and deportations. It's real. So since some who study Project 2025, and we've had them on the show earlier now, say the administration is really hoping for a moment like this, so they can have these mass firings and weaken the government. Let's say 3 or 4 Democrats break and Republicans get what they want, avoiding these mass firings. What are the consequences for the American people if Republicans get what they want?
Well, listen, we're ready, willing, and able to sit down with anyone, anytime, at any place in order to have a conversation about reopening the government, enacting a spending agreement that meets the needs of the American people in terms of their quality of life and addresses the Republican health care crisis. And we've maintained that position for weeks. Republicans, unfortunately, have shown no interest in doing anything responsible to address the health care crisis that they've created because they want to continue to wreak havoc on the American people. And the reality is, during the duration, the entirety of the Trump administration, I think we're on day 257 of the chaos that has been unleashed on the American people, they have already engaged in mass firings. They've done this outside of the context of a government shutdown. They've already unleashed mass ICE agents on law-abiding immigrant families. They've done that outside of the context of a government shutdown. They've already enacted this massive tax break for their billionaire donors while taking health care away from more than 14 million Americans. Enough already. This is who they are. And the government shutdown is just a continuation of that effort.
Both sides are dug in as thousands of federal workers worry about whether they'll have a job after this standoff. But tonight, we're going to have a real debate about the real issues that are at the center of all of this. The one in which Republicans claim the Democrats are demanding government-subsidized health care for undocumented immigrants. Now, there is a lot of nuance here, so stay with me. Follow me here. Big picture, their claim isn't true. The Democratic proposal does not explicitly and directly provide free health care for anyone here illegally. According to healthcare.gov, undocumented immigrants can't get marketplace healthcare coverage, and they're also ineligible for other federal programs like Medicaid by the Medicare administration. That's been the law since 1986, when, checks notes, Ronald Reagan was president. So is Vance arguing here that hospital funds should be contingent on whether or not they refuse life-saving care to illegal immigrants? Is that really the argument? To change that, they would need to do more than just tinker with the federal funding scheme. They need to actually change that law that is almost 30 years old, the one that's there to protect all Americans, insured or uninsured. And now Republicans are also correct to point out that many Democrats, including the party's heavyweights, have in the past called for care for all immigrants. Listen.
Raise your hand if your government plan would provide coverage for undocumented immigrants.
We do ourselves no favors by having 11 million undocumented people in our country be unable to access health care.
You cannot let people who are sick, no matter where they come from, no matter what their status, go uncovered. You can't do that.
When I say all, I also mean the undocumented in this country.
Let me just be very clear about this. I am opposed to any policy that would deny in our country any human being from access to public safety, public education, or public health, period.
Now, that's a debate to have, right? It's a worthwhile debate, should they have access to health care or not. But whatever you think of that, whatever you think of what the Democrats on that stage thought or desired, that position is actually not in this current proposal.
Right. So Leader Jeffries, Senate Majority Leader Thune has said in recent days that, he says anyway, Republicans would be willing to negotiate on ACA, but doing it separately from the government funding situation. And that was something that Minority Leader Schumer agreed with back in the spring. So if that does come to the table, if that's a real offer here, hey, let's talk about ACA, let's fund the government short term, and then let's deal with ACA now, and then revisit the government down the road, is that something Democrats would be interested in?
Our position is cancel the cuts, lower the costs, save health care. And that has to be done at this moment in time in the context of this unprecedented Republican assault on the health care of the American people. Largest cut to Medicaid in American history, triggering a possible $536 billion cut to Medicare at the end of this year if Congress doesn't act because of what Republicans did in their one big ugly bill. We know that hospitals and nursing homes and community-based health clinics all across the country, including in rural America, are closing down right now because of the Republican assault on the health care of everyday Americans, and they refuse to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits, which is going to result in more than 20 million Americans receiving notices, many that have already gone out, indicating that their health care premiums, copays, and deductibles are about to skyrocket. And we already live in a high cost of living environment. America's too expensive. Donald Trump hasn't lowered costs on day one, which he promised. They're making life more expensive. That's why this has to be dealt with, as Dr. King wants.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Washington, D.C. is in chaos. Again, the federal government is officially shut down, leaving thousands of federal workers in limbo. Day 3, and the air is thick with tension as Democrats and Republicans trade blame like a high-stakes tennis match. House Speaker Mike Johnson claims real people are being harmed, and he's right. But hang on, the finger-pointing has just begun. On one side, Democrats say this is the Trump Republican shutdown, targeting health care for working-class Americans. Picture this: 14 million people potentially losing access to essential care. Kids, seniors, veterans, ordinary people caught in political crossfire. It's like a real-life drama, except nobody's watching from a comfy couch. These are real lives on the line. Meanwhile, Republicans insist the Democrats want to give free health care to undocumented immigrants, an argument that's half fear-mongering, half misunderstanding. Spoiler alert, the law doesn't work that way. Now here's the ironic twist. Everyone's shouting, everyone's blaming everyone. But most Americans are stuck waiting, sometimes literally in emergency rooms, watching the chaos unfold. And yes, hospitals have been legally obligated to treat everyone since 1986. So technically, we've been funding illegal aliens long before this debate started. Politics, turning the obvious into a plot twist worthy of Netflix? The stakes are skyrocketing. Medicaid cuts, skyrocketing insurance premiums, hospitals shutting down, and an Affordable Care Act hanging by a thread. And somewhere in D.C., negotiators are whispering about Project 2025, mass firings and power plays. The question is, who will blink first? Will a deal happen today, or will millions of Americans continue paying the price while leaders argue about technicalities? Here's the bottom line. This is not just politics, it's real lives being affected. Americans deserve health care, stability, and clarity, not a never-ending debate about who's right or wrong. Whether you lean Democrat, Republican, or somewhere in between, watching this political tug-of-war unfold is shocking, heartbreaking, and yes, infuriating. The clock is ticking, and every moment of indecision costs real people dearly,